I was awoken at 7 a.m. by a pounding at the door. "Ms. Demi, we need to talk," trilled a voice, muffled through the oak. I already knew who was on the other side. Reluctantly, I opened the door to greet them. "Good morning, Mr. Jacobs," I said, sleepy and deadpan. Before me stood Mark Jacobs, my neighbor and the local HOA president. And by the looks of things, he had yet another urgent matter that needed my attention. "You violated Article 13.7 of the bylaws," he spat, again. He angrily pointed at the row of pomegranate trees that lined our shared fence. "Your trees reach 2.4 inches onto my property," he said, wrathfully. "Fix it, or I'll have your garden mulched." "We shall see," I said, stifling a yawn. With one final scowl, he turned on his heels, slamming my door behind him, as he had many times before. I've lived here for many years, ever since coming to America. My beloved daughter had been taken from me, manipulated into a sham marriage back in the old country. So I left. Turned a barren patch of suburban dirt into the most luscious garden this town had ever seen. Neighborhood children played amongst my flowers, their brilliance spilling over their beds. Any who hungered could eat freely of my trees, their boughs heavy with fruit. Naturally, this Mr. Jacobs could not abide. A few days later, I strolled beneath my pomegranate tree's riotous branches. Indeed, they did extend over the fence, no more than a finger's length. I remembered the quivering of Mr. Jacobs' lip. How his face turned puce in anger. And I smiled. Let him make his threats, I thought to myself, confident nothing would come of it. Until I returned home from the farmer's market. A city ordinance was pinned to my door. Effective immediately, all foliage must be removed from shared property line, at homeowner's expense, in compliance with Article 13.7. I stared in numb disbelief. My trees would have to be cut down. Mr. Jacobs stood in his window, a smug smile on his lips as he mouthed two words. I won. The following evening, I met Mr. Jacobs in his featureless backyard to plead my case, citation in hand. "Is this really necessary?" I asked. "Can I not trim them?" Mr. Jacobs chuckled bitterly as he watered his dull, depressing lawn. "That time has passed," he said, turning off the hose and facing me. "Next, I want those eyesores you call flower beds dug up." I sighed, knowing it was no use. The rest happened quickly. He never felt the tendrils of vine creeping around his ankles from the wet soil beneath him. Before he could react,